Alright, so just continuing on from the last tutorial. I'm just going to go ahead and make this like semi-work. So I'm going to take my panel here. I got my 3 panels, right? Take panel 1, drag it over here. And we'll start with us looking basically at this. Actually, I'll put it like here for now. I'm going to take panel 2, bring it over here, and put it, I don't know, to the side of that one. And then panel 3, bring it over here. Alright, and let's just control minus, and see if we can get these to be roughly like the same distance. So I'm just going to put this kind of more towards the edge and have a little bit more of a gap then. Okay, so one problem is you can, well, you can't really tell here, but if I zoom in a little bit, they're not going to match up right off the bat. So I'm going to do is grab all 3 of them, like so, and do align. And let's do align top. And now they should all, oops, get in there. Okay. They should all be straight-ish. I don't know. We can call that close. You can try the different aligns, but they look okay to me. So now what I'm going to do is, oddly enough, I'm going to take this whole thing. Because what I want to do is I want to basically animate these moving. And that'll be easier if they're just one big group. So I'm just going to take this whole thing and we're just going to make it into a symbol. So we're going to convert to a symbol. Symbols are just a way of like kind of grouping things together and adding attributes to them. So we're just going to call this all panels. Okay. And you can see over here that'll be added all panels. And we're just going to call ahead and call this one panels. Okay. And I'm just going to drag this so that only the one is currently visible. Like, get down a little bit. Oop, okay, so, because this box is what's going to be shown. All right, so what I want to have happen is this. I want to basically slide this. We're just going to animate this sliding from the from left to right or right to left. I don't know. It's going to go this way. So we're going to say it's going to take 1 second in between each one. So 1 second to get to this panel, and then another second to get this. So I need to do 2 seconds total. So I'm going to go to the 2 second mark, and I'm just going to right click, and we're going to do insert frame. All right, or it's F7. Now what I'm going to do is in the middle here, we're just going to right click and we are going to create a motion tween. Boop. Okay, so now we can animate this. So I'm going to go to the 1 second and I'm just going to take this and move it over. I'm going to hold shift so that it doesn't move up or down, and we're going to try and center this roughly. Good. Okay, there's one. Then I'm going to go to 2 seconds and we'll do the same thing again. Grab this, hold shift. Okay, and try to square that up. Okay. Now, if you look, if I scrub through, you'll see this is what it'll do. It's just going to slide through. And if I were to preview this, it's just going to keep going like that. So what we need to do is we want to tell it to stop at these frames here. Okay, so each one of these. Right? So right off the bat, I want to just stop on frame 1. I don't want it to go anywhere else. So this is actually relatively easy. You actually don't even know any code because they have like a shortcut for this. So what you're going to do is you can hit F9 or you go to Window, Actions, and it's going to pull up this thing. Okay. Now in here you can type in Actionscript or JavaScript or WebGL, which I guess would still be JavaScript. But anyway, right here there's this little thing called Code Snippets. It's also in the Windows up here, but just click on that. And Actionscript is like the native language for Flash. And thusly also this program because it really is just Flash. But you can also write things on HTML5 canvas, and what that means is that it's going to use JavaScript and HTML5 standards in order to create the work, which is what you want to do. What we're concerned about is timeline navigation, and then we have stop this frame. So what we need you to do is over here, click on the first frame, right? See how it's only, I don't have the whole thing. Oops, I just did the thing. Hang on a second. I don't have like the whole thing selected. Okay, I want just a single frame. Okay, so I'm going to be on frame 1, and I just want to tell it to stop. So all I'm going to do is just double click, and it's going to go stop. You can see actions, frame 1, and this is the script that's going to run on frame 1. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to frame, we could just actually do it up here, frame 25. You can click on either one, it isn't going to matter. I'm going to go to there, and I'm going to do the same thing. Double click, stop. Okay, and then we'll go to the last one, and right here, and double click, stop. Okay, so now if you look, there's a little A on each one of these, and basically those are just scripts on frame 1, 24, and 48 that basically say don't play. All we're going to do is we're going to make a button that just says next, and that button will be our way of clicking to tell it to play. It's going to be really Pretty straightforward. Okay, so I'm just going to exit out of this right now. We just need to make that button real quick. All right, so you should make it look nice. I'm just going to kind of make it look quick. And I'm going to go ahead and grab, we'll do the rectangle tool. And let's see, let's do for the fill, we'll do orange since that's kind of the color. All right, so let's do this like so. And I'm going to kind of pull it up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm just going to convert it to a symbol. We're going to convert it to a button. Okay, so we're going to hit F8, or you go modify, convert to symbol, and choose button. And on this, we'll just call this next underscore BTN. Okay, so for button, hit OK. The other thing I want to do, it's going to matter more when we do the code, and I'll do it afterwards so you get the association. So I don't like the color of this. I'm just going to double click on it, and now I'm inside the button's business. Okay, so now I can choose what I want to do. So first off, I don't really like the look of it. It doesn't really tell me next. So I'm just going to edit it a little bit. I'm gonna, oops, I accidentally backed out. I'm gonna go ahead and use this pen tool. You can do yours any way you want. I'm gonna add an anchor here. Come on. Screw that. Okay. Take this whole thing, and we're gonna do modify, break apart. So now it's not in like object mode anymore, and I'm gonna do my old way of doing things. So take this and let me see something. No. Okay. And we will. Actually, maybe I can still do it this way. I'm going to put button. There you go. Take this, and then I'm going to grab that so that it looks like an arrow. Okay. And then just to really get the idea across, I'm going to go ahead and write in there next. I'm going to use Comic Sans, and the color I'll just choose black because it just makes sense. And we'll just write next. And let's just go ahead and scale that down a little bit so that you can see it. I'm just use my arrow keys. Okay. Gloriousness. So that looks like it says next. Now, on up, that's what it's going to look like, and that is fine. Now, what I want to do is on hover, what do I want it to look like? So I'm going to go ahead and click on hover. I'm just going to hit F6, or you go, you can right click and go insert keyframe. Okay, either way. And on hover, what I want to do is I'm going to have it actually, this whole thing just move up a little bit. 1, 2, 3. All right. And we'll take this text word, and I'm going to change the color to like, we'll say white. Yeah, we'll just say white. Okay. And we'll take the outline here. Actually, I'll just double click on this whole thing, and I'll take the outline, and I'm going to also make that white. You don't have to do this. It's just that. So now when you hover over it, it's going to kind of pop up like that. And then when you actually click on it, I'm going to hit F6 here again. And all that does is create a new keyframe and copy the one from the previous frame. I'm going to have this go down now instead. So let's look at up and down. Okay. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to change the stroke back to black. And I'm going to do the color. I'm just going to make it a little bit darker so it looks like you clicked on it. And then the word I'm going to make back to black too. Okay. And then we don't need to worry about hit, because hit is the what do you call it? It's basically the area that you can click on, and if you don't specifically mark it, it will just use the shape itself. Okay, so we'll call that good. That's purely aesthetic. So just I'm gonna go ahead and hit. We'll just back up. So I'm gonna click on the scene, and now watch. If I hit Control Enter and preview this sucker, let's give it a preview. All right, bring this over. Okay, now if I hover over it, see how it kind of pops up and is white. And if I click down, okay, that's basically what it does. All right, yay, everyone's happy. So it doesn't do anything, but we just did the aesthetic part of it. All right, now what we're going to do is actually going to apply code to it. So if you look, it's on the same as the panels. It should be on its own layer. So I'm going to make a new layer, and then I'm just going to take this and because it's a symbol, watch, I can actually delete it, and then or you could just copy and paste it, but I'm just going to show you. I'm just going to delete it, and then I can just drag it back over here. Oops. Make sure I'm on this one. And drag it back over here. Right? And I can reuse this button any number of times I want. And I'm just going to rename this button. Okay? So, there it is. So now what I want to do is I just want to apply a code to this button specifically. Okay? But again, I'm not a big fan of coding. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the same thing we did before. We're going to go to Window, and we're going to go to Actions, and hit the little snippet button. Make sure you have this selected, and we're going to go, and again I want to do timeline navigation, and we're going to click to go to frame and play. Okay, so I'm just going to double click this. Okay. So it's asking for an instance. This is the thing I was going to mention earlier. Let's hit cancel for right now. Basically the way it does is it has to apply an event listener and an event handler. It has to apply code to it, and the way that it knows how to apply the code is based off of an instance name. Okay, because you can have multiple ones, right? So let's say I use this button again and again, and I want this button to have some code and this button to have a different code. If they're all named the same, like this one's called next button, then how are you going to know which one's which, right? So I'm actually gonna give it the same name, next, because I'm only gonna use one of them anyway. But basically, this is the name that the code will read. Okay, this name's for us, the thing here. Okay, so now I'm gonna double click on it because I didn't dictate that. It was gonna do it automatically, which you can let it do it automatically. It's better if you write it, because that way when you see the code, that's this part here, this next button. That was the what I put in there. Otherwise, it's gonna say, like, I don't even know what it's gonna say, untitled button or something, and you won't know what they're talking about. So anyways, this applies to the listener, and then that listener is going to run this function when it sees a click. In this case, it says this, and then go to and play 5. So what that means is that when you click on the button, it's going to go to frame 5 and then play. It's actually not what I want, because what it'll do is it'll skip to here, so it'll just jolt over. Then it will animate. It'll stop here like it's supposed to. The button will still be there, and if I click next, it's actually going to pop back to 5 again and keep going. So this code actually I don't want, but it's close to what I want. I kind of just guessed because it makes sense to me. But if you type in play, there's a pre-built function called play, and then I just put in empty. I don't need anything in the parameters here. This will just say play. And since it's already stopped, it'll say, okay, play, and then it'll start playing, and then it'll stop here, and then it'll stop, and it'll keep going, okay? And if you look, this button is held, it's present the whole time, so it doesn't matter. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and exit out of that. And if I hit Control Enter and preview, and bring this guy over, what you're going to see is if I go here, I click next, goes to the next one, right? Click next, and it goes to the next one. And then it'll start at the beginning, and it goes right down the line. Right? Works pretty good. All right, so that's the basics of just making this general kind of timeline thing. And this is actually very similar. It's pretty much the same thing we're going to do in order to do like our little animated sequences, our interactive stuff, okay? Because it's just basically the same thing. All right, and we'll do that in the next video.